welcome to Liquid Lunch. We're coming at you live. It's Tuesday, October 18th, 2011. It's me, Hugh, and Hilton is here today. Hilton?
Hey, Hugh, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Excellent.
Yeah. Although they're stressful times these days. Very stressful. Do you think?
Yeah, but it's if we understand it can be good stress. You know, because without stress, there's no life.
That's what really bothers me. You know, I'm waiting for that problem-free life to come along one day. I'm hoping the government will bring it about.
That's not on this plane called Earth. You know, like stress-free, you know, no tension, no life.
Yeah.
There's got to be that give and take and that pull and that push. And the thing is, and even Liquid Lunch, part of our purpose here is to find that sort of that blissful middle way through the two extremes.
Yes.
And, you know, and in that, you know, with stress, you know, we're either making, I like this one so much, we're either making a hell out of heaven or a heaven out of hell. And, you know, why not just choose? And whatever it is, if we just choose that sort of middle way, you know, we can have a blissful, quiet blast.
Okay. Well, that's what we're going to have today.
Indeed.
And speaking of trying to walk the middle path here, we've got Tanya Raheel here. She's a business development manager.
I thought you said billionaire.
Well,
I wish I were a billionaire.
Okay, so you're coming clean. That's okay, because you're in the business of helping people to become billionaires, right?
I guess that's one way of looking at it, exactly.
Yeah, so now, as we were talking before the show, you mentioned you help people or businesses, I guess, with their sales. What is it? Their sales processes, their sales strategies?
So, yes, but I have to actually pick up on what Hilton was saying about we're living in such interesting times and trying to find that balance between, you know, sort of heaven and hell on earth.
Yes.
Because it actually speaks to what my take is on sales right now, and an approach which is we are in very interesting and very turbulent and uncertain times, and that is reflected in the marketplace as well. That's reflected in the business world, and everyone is contracted. Everyone is very fearful right now, and you know, there's this brilliant line from The Road Less Traveled, and it's the opening line is life is difficult.
Yes.
So get over it. And it's,
Exactly.
you know, right now it is a very difficult time in the history of the world, but it's also a cycle. But as human beings, we contract, and that's happening in the sales function as well. And what I'm seeing, interestingly, is something that is a little bit of a bee in my own bonnet, because people are really focused on kind of driving transactional sales without looking at the big picture. So a lot of, let's say, new jobs for salespeople, they're asking for hunters. They want sales hunters. And what that really means is that they want people to drive transactions. Just, you know, hunt, kill, hunt, kill, hunt, kill. And that's reflective of the society that we live in right now, because everyone is so afraid and they just want to acquire new customers. They want to bring the revenue in, which is great. But what happens to the bigger picture of sales? What happens to relationship selling? What happens to the long term? It's very short-term thinking.
But companies are under a lot of pressure, though, because they have to, you know, they do have to meet those short-term financial objectives, and they need that cash flow in now. So they look at that situation. They go, we need hunters. We can't afford to think long-term right now, and it's because of financial constraints that they're under.
But it's such a contradiction in terms, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and it is a paradox because they need to grow their businesses. They need to address their immediate cash flow concerns and solvency concerns and shareholder value as well, and what the market of the street is asking for. But what's it at the expense of? Because this is a cycle. We've been through so many different cycles in the history of business in the world, and we will come out of this. We will. It's just rough sailing right now.
Really? We're really going to come out of this?
Absolutely. We'll come out of this bigger, better, badder, stronger. We will. But it's that short-term thinking that I think is going to hurt people in the long run. You need a more holistic approach to sales. You need to factor in all the different elements of it, not just hunt, kill, get the transaction in, and forget about what happens after the sale, what happens to your existing customer base.
Right.
The people who are loyal to you right now, the people who are buying from you right now.
Yeah. because sales is really about relationships, right?
It
Building and maintaining
It differs
them.
a little bit, though, whether you're dealing with consumer sales or institutional, commercial. So what are the areas that you'd be talking about, Tanya?
You know, you make a very interesting point, Hilton. It's actually both. It is B2B and B2C, i.e. business to business or business to consumer.
Yes.
I think everyone is hurting right now, and just because somebody is selling commercially versus selling to the consumer side of things, it doesn't remove what is fundamental to sales, which is you're dealing with a human being. You're dealing with people who fundamentally, doesn't matter who they are, whether they're junior level salespeople or executives of multi-billion-dollar corporations, they need to be seen and heard and acknowledged. And sales is, like you so rightly said, Hugh, it's about relationship, and it's about that emotional connection. And people say, well, there's no room for emotion in the boardroom or in business. Of course it is, because we're not dealing with avatars, we're not dealing with automatons, or, you know, this is not Gattaca. We're actually dealing with human beings, and it is an emotional connection. And people right now are scared. And so addressing that on whatever level is going to impact your sales strategy in a big way.
So I have to question you on one point you made.
Absolutely.
You know, we're not dealing with avatars. Tell me more.
Well, it's, you know, and avatars, I actually haven't seen the movie. I'm talking about avatars in, you know, on where you have an avatar online as in lieu of your photograph or something like that.
All so right, it's sort of an electronic assistant.
An electronic version of you versus, you know, the blood, the guts, the
You had me going there for a moment. I thought you were speaking of a different, you know, the higher form of avatar.
Oh, no.
I thought, my God, I hadn't brought that into the realm
blue people. Yeah, I haven't seen James Cameron's movie.
There, because it's also, you know, we aren't dealing with avatars.
We're dealing with human beings.
We are dealing with human beings, and we're driven by fear, sometimes by faith.
Sometimes by love. Fear and love are the two things that drive people. It doesn't matter who they are. It's basic as that, fear and love, and it's that whole spectrum in between.
I've heard it said that they are not opposite, and that love has no opposite.
Oh.
I've heard it said that fear, an acronym for it is, for instance, false evidence appearing real.
Right.
All right. But fear is nothing but another form of love, but frustrated love, misunderstood.
That's a really interesting perspective.
Yes. So with that, how might you help, and with what you do, how might you help a small organization or a large organization? What are some of the magic, you know, what's some of the magic dust and essence of Tanya that you bring and like to bring to organizations?
Right. Well, magic dust, fairy dust. I think we all have a little bit of fairy dust in us, and I'm a big believer in magic. I think magic it has a big place in the world, especially in a contracted world right now.
And in a fear-based world, how do we actually bring more of that?
Right. I think it all boils down to the human connection. Fundamentally, like I said, it's really knowing who you're dealing with in the sales perspective, who you're selling to, understand who they are as a human being, understand what's important to them. When I found in my experience, when I'm trying to close a deal or negotiating whatever the situation might be, it's never about what you're actually negotiating. You need to know what really drives the person at the other end. And it really takes understanding people. So one of the things I know I always bring to a company or organization I work with is getting to the root of what's important to our potential client, understanding the drivers, understanding the nuances, because any transaction is very nuanced. You never know what's really going on until you ask, until you listen, until you pick up on those unspoken cues. And the things that are unsaid, a lot of the times, it's the things that are unsaid. And that old saying about reading between the lines and asking the tough questions, being unafraid to ask the tough questions. A lot of people say one example would be, it's very situational. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but it's calling somebody out in a really respectful way. If in a contentious situation, perhaps, And when you're in deal negotiations and maybe you're at a bit of a stalemate and things are just not moving and both parties are frustrated, it's about really being vulnerable and being, standing in courage and saying, okay, let's look at what we're dealing with over here. Putting your ego aside, just putting it out on the table. And it really diffuses the situation. Being honest and open, and people say there's no place for vulnerability in business, but there's a need for it, because otherwise we're just guarded, and then we're not human anymore.
It's interesting. We had we were talking about sex last week here on the show, and somebody said that vulnerability is the new Viagra.
Really?
Yes. So it might also help in the sales process.
I don't even know how to follow that up. Okay, I get you.
Just that V
got
word.
Got a bit of magic going on with you right now.
Yeah. Didn't see that one coming, Hugh.
Okay, Tanya. So anything else you want to leave us with? Like, who do you like to work with in terms of what do you like to help them do? Get their sales going better? I mean, these are great times to help companies and people to do that.
It is. It's a lot of people are freaked out, but I'm one of those people who gets really excited when there's a downturn, because that's when real opportunity is. That's when the entrepreneurial spirit really kicks in, and you see people coming up with fantastic ideas and people really going out on a limb to do something different. And it's not about the sexy, sizzly products or services. It's also about companies that are old world, sort of bricks and mortar companies as well. There's a full spectrum. I look for companies where there's definitely great, there's a dynamic fit, there's energy, there's great chemistry, and not just good management, but good people across the board. It's about, like I said, we're human beings. It's about working with people you like, working with companies you respect, and there has to be that reciprocity there.
Okay, great. So if people or companies want to get in touch with you and bring you into the process, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
They can email me, which is Tanya, Tanya, at tanyaraheel.com. And that's, I guess I should spell that out.
Sure.
Tanya at tanyaraheel.com.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for coming on the show,
Great,
Tanya.
thank you so much.
Great to have this conversation.
Thank you both.
Okay. So we're going to take a little break. Hilton, we've got Adrian coming on next. Is that right? And we've got Sweet Light Crude coming in later in the show, and we're going to play one of their tracks right now, and looking forward to meeting the band a little bit later in the show.
Fantastic.
We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back to Liquid Lunch. We're here now with Adrian Miles, and well, we sort of try to figure out what we're going to talk about today, Adrian, but you've got so much going on. You mentioned those 2 books alone. We could be talking all day about those.
We could have some fun with that. Exactly, Hugh, exactly. So I think should we start at that point, or should we start at the old basis of London Wall Street and how the market really was run in the old days?
In the old days compared to the new days, because I understand there's no integrity left in the market.
I believe that. I believe there's no integrity left. I think it's all about the cash now. That's it.
You know,
so you'll write the ticket, you'll steal the equity, you'll do whatever it takes because you want to make that sale, you want to make that deal, and the deal is all about retail at the moment and equity, and so the poor guy who's saving with his RSP keeps getting ripped off with the cost of producing the capital to get so much. It's just extensive right now.
Well, you know, it's reminding as you're saying that because it's like banks. Banks today tend to look at themselves as a business. But in the old days, it was more of they had a role to play that was supporting business, but they weren't a business per se.
Well, the banks had a different role, and you're absolutely right, because the bank was where you safely put your money. And the bank would not risk it and leverage it and do all the other things that an investment bank does. So the banks have now become investment banks, they've become insurance companies, they're the Wall Streets, or the Walmart if you like, but they've become the Wall Street problem that we face now with all these kids walking around saying that it's just unfair, they've nearly lost our whole financial system, and yet we're going to pay them all this money. So yes, the marketplace has spoken. I think that we can't live without banks, but we can certainly live without the risk inherent in an investment bank and the profits that they seek, where there's no recompense if they lose the money. So I think that that's a big difference. Huge.
So, Adrian Miles.
Yes, sir.
Where did you come from? Here you've got all this, you know, and you know, where did you come from? Who are you?
I basically started work in a company called Phillips & Drew on London Wall Street, and worked for a wonderful gentleman called Lord Cohen of Brighton, who was probably one of the smartest men I've ever known, except for maybe Pat Sheridan here, the big mining resource guy, who's a wonderful, wonderful man, you know, one of the captains of industry, but frankly, he's one of the greatest derivatives traders that you've ever met in your life. So understanding that and understanding the business. So from working in London Wall Street and singing, I used to sing rock and roll. That was my big thing. I wanted to become,
Anybody we know?
Well, there was a few. There was a few
like
that I don't know if I can. Well, David Bowie, I used to know quite well. We used to go. Everybody knows down Ladbroke Grove. No,
that's a
no.
David Bowie song?
There's a few old songs there. We won't go down that road, which we didn't dye the hair today. So. But basically, I think that was really what I wanted to do. But my father was one of those very Victorian people who, you know, this is a lousy job. That rock and roll won't last 2 years. Thanks, Dad, very much. You know, so it was Wall Street for me. You know, so I ended up going to New York. Then I was in the Middle East. I worked in Singapore, Hong Kong, Tokyo for 6 months. Wonderful place. Love Tokyo. So we opened up markets. Basically, we'd sit down with the central bank and decide what the rate was going to be that day, and they'd look at you and hope that it's going to be supported. Well, that's your job, sir. You know.
Wait a sec. So you were helping the central banks to decide?
Yeah,
what
I was
their interest
actually
rate?
on the Canadian Ethics Practices and Procedure Committee for the Bank of Canada. So we used to go up there every month to talk about the value of the Canadian dollar. So it was kind of interesting times here when the Canadian dollar was free falling.
So it's really managed, much more managed than
very managed, yes. In fact,
truly understand.
Foreign exchange is controlled by 6 banks, 65% of it. So the fact that it's gone from $1 trillion to $7 trillion a day is because of the amount of leverage that's been allowed in the marketplace. It's like the quant trading. Quant trading is going to be the next big securities debacle that we find out. Well, you watch what happens with quant trading, because it's all technical based on these certain movements. Once that market can be pushed outside that old technical data, the whole thing's going to free fall. And people are going to lose fortunes. Banks are going to go under.
When's that going to happen? I mean, what is this quant trading?
Volatility, quant trading?
Yeah.
Well, it's a mathematical formula based on past movements of different marketplaces, be it commodities or currencies. And based on that, they bring these analogs together that they decide that they're going to put this here, and everyone has a different one. So every quant trader will look at certain facts in a different light, quantify those facts, and then he has this mathematical formula.
So there's a formula
to
sell,
supposedly
sell or buy
outside those parameters are going to sell it, and we saw that happen, and then
yes, and remember when it crashed really big time that day, and that apparently was a fake. That wasn't really done. Somebody misrepresented the numbers, but frankly, once that's going to happen, you're going to see it. And the banks, they do very much control lots of aspects of the marketplace. Obviously, it's in the interest of the country to control their own securities, because that's how they manipulate the interest rates and capital markets.
Can I just ask you a question, since you mentioned the central banks? Mark Carney, Governor of the Bank of Canada, was just talking about the Occupy Wall Street, and he said he had some sympathy to them because he understood that there's, it's not a perfect system, and he wished that people had more faith that the regulators are going to be able to create a regulatory environment that's going to support everybody.
This is a huge, huge question. I mean, first of all, he comes from Goldman Sachs, which is the biggest pirate ship on the planet, right?
But does that mean he's a bad guy?
It doesn't mean he's a bad guy. He means he understands how the rules are really played. So if there's a set of rules that you're looking at, it's not the set of rules that Goldman Sachs looks at. Let's sell him this, and let's drop it down here, and then he'll have to sell it back to us, and we'll make all that money. So it's a very manipulated practice, and that's why they're good at it, because they understand markets, movements, they understand information flow.
And misinformation.
And misinformation. Of course, misinformation is one of the big things, yes.
Yes.
But basically, I can see the sympathy because the American banks definitely suffered. They all jumped on the bandwagon. But I think if you look at the CEO of TD here, he was the one who said he had I have a PhD in risk, and I don't understand the risk inherent. This is just ridiculous. And we as a bank are not going to be putting any money at all into this situation. And of course, the other Canadian banks put a little bit, not huge, because a lot of their customer base is down in the States, so they had to try and, it's the sheep mentality. If everyone's investing in it, it's a good idea, right? So basically, I mean, we do have some very smart people here, and I think Carney's a very smart man. I think he is one of the good products. I mean, I think the quarterly results matter so much in the US that's where the problem arises as to whether you're going to get some long-term staying power and how you're going to build that economy.
Do you think then that people who are, because the public is affected by these decisions, and if guys like the Goldman Sachs, who you describe as a pirate ship, are profiting at the expense of the public, and the public is concerned about that.
Well, it goes back to your point about the politics of the day and the way American society runs. It goes back to my book about the bubble burst on American democracy, because the theory is wonderful, but in practice, when you get somebody, the banking community, able to lobby and pay for all the senators and congressmen, what are they going to do? They're going to upset their meal ticket? No. And you have the two-party system. So is one as bad as the other? Is one over here? I mean, it's a very difficult situation, because while those lobby groups control that power, that's not going to change. And as you've seen, we have not put anyone in jail for all the malfeasance that went on through all of that subprime market. Nothing at all, nobody.
Should the public, okay, you're saying it's a difficult process, but we got Mark Carney, and now he's, they're saying they're trying to put him into an international position to help the international regulations. But should the public trust the regulators, the government, the banks to do the right thing?
There's self-interest groups. They look after the pirate ships. That's where the problem is. When you're on board the pirate ship, it's great. You don't want anyone to get near you. You control it. It's almost like a mini monopoly. So why would you let anyone in when you're making 35% on the capital you're producing for these small little entrepreneurs, the 5, 6, 10, 15 millions? And the banks wouldn't even touch it unless it's 100 million. So the reality is, while that cost of capital is so enormous and the fear is so great as to the prospects of the market moving up, we have a real stalemate at the moment, because the cash is sitting there doing nothing. The real rates of interest shot probably are 5 or 6%, not 1 or 2. And then you've got the cost of capital to the small guys being 20, 30%. So for a retail investor to invest in that and then make all that money over the top of what the cost of that is enormous.
So what would do you have any recommendations? Like, what can the public do about this situation? Because it's going to end very badly if something isn't done.
Well, I think there has to be some sort of independent group of mind thinking. And I'm not just talking about economists or bankers or the self-protectionists there, but other people that can say, you know, is this right or is this wrong? What is regarded as, in my day, when you made a certain amount of profit, that was a wonderful thing. But if you made too much profit, it was regarded really badly, that you were really squeezing the system and that this shouldn't happen. And somewhere, someone has to say, well, we're protecting this group of individuals too well, and we're not protecting these group of individuals enough. But the reality is it's still almost pandering to not the union mentality, but the mentality of protectionism. Because while you're protecting all these people, the common man doesn't have the right to go in there and try and compete. And a lot of that has been through education. You know, you buy a book at Ivy League, and if you don't buy this year's book and at the store with a receipt for $250, you can't use last year's one from your buddy for nothing. No, they want to make money. Now, you know, that's a business school teaching people this practice. So how is it then that you take that example and you say, well, not everyone has that money. Why shouldn't he have the right, if he's a hustler, to go and find a second-hand book? I mean, how much is it going to change over the year? It's not. So again, that is that kind of protectionism that creates the fear, the misbelief, the disbelief that anyone there is honest. Because when you sit in the seat, you don't want to leave the seat.
Right. Okay.
And there are only so many seats.
And there are only so many seats at the party.
But that party is going to end at some point. That party can't
I'd like
go
to
on.
hope you're right. I tell you. But
it won't with the systems we have in place. So what are some of your ideas, for instance, on some of the new systems that would enable...
well, one to start with clearly is to separate the banks from the investment banks. A bank has to be an institution that protects people's money. It has to make a profit, sure. But there are many areas in the bank that make a fortune without it being a rampant speculator in the marketplace, which is what the investment bankers do. And all they care about is the capital and what they're making that year. They're not really, they're not there long term, they're there short term. And that's what you have to change, that mentality. But then how do you do that when everyone's judged on a quarterly result? All of us, really. Your bank would, you know, if you didn't pay the rent that week, you know, you'd be right there going, excuse me, hello? No excuses here. So you do what you have to do.
Now, you talked about maybe a body of people coming together to kind of make these kind of decisions. Now, normally that would be something the government might do or the banking industry themselves might do, but you're saying that's not going to happen.
Well, I don't think it will happen because it's not in the interest of the government. It's not. I was involved in environmental, solar, wind, electric cars, metal fuels for 7 years. Spent a lot of money, really believed truly that that's what the world needed. We needed what the planet can give us ultimately, or long term, it's going to be there for nothing. Yeah. But you think the vested interest groups, including the government, are ever going to do that? You saw that with the collapse of the car companies. They're never going to come in and say, please start an electric car company and let's build something that, you know, because where's your taxes? Your taxes on your car. Your 3,000 moving parts on your real car as opposed to your 500 moving parts on your electric car. So really, it's a catch-22 until a decision is made to have some forward-thinking people in there, and you can't be because you're only voted in for 4 years anyway. So as the government, I mean, look at Obama. He gets the death pass, or as you call the death spiral, and then 2 years later they're all saying he's done nothing. The guy's hopeless. He's useless. Whereas I think the guy's tried his hardest, went up into the big town and got beaten up. I think he's realized how the politics is played. And understanding the way the politics is played, I guess, is 50% of the way you're going to change it. But it doesn't look like he's had any shot at it. Yet he's run one of the best campaigns, if you like, through the internet and ever been done.
Yes.
So I don't know. You know, I think this forum format is a great format for people to get out there.
It seems to me, as the public, all of us, unprecedented in history, we actually are able to have our voices shared and heard. We have not yet learned how to collaborate effectively and sustainably with all the biases and prejudices to build sort of the global village system.
It's quite a matrix. It's not going to be easy to formulate.
Yes.
It's not going to be easy to put all the pieces.
And it's not going to be one person's idea, but it's going to be an amalgam of our ideas.
And then you've got the problem because the protected species in that matrix are going to protect that box. They're not going to let you in it. They're going to say, oh, no, hold on a second. Our little box. You know, this is very important. We are really good. I remember when I was working here, I worked for Green Shields, and I worked for another company, Pre-Bonyamani, which was a Japanese-American house. Yes. And we employed about 100 MBAs. Right? This was the big thing. They told me on high, you know, human resources, employ the MBA, he will save your life. Thank you very much. We employed these people, and guess what? Not one lasted. They do not understand the dynamic of hard work.
Not one life saved.
Not one life saved. They were not. I said to one guy, I said, what are you doing? He said, nothing. I said, I know, the prices have moved like 5 times. You have to tell the clients. Oh, you'd think they'd ring me, you know, my father being mayor of such and such a city. I went, they don't know that. They don't care. Get on the line. I think he lasted a week, you know, and in the end, all of them, you're better off finding some hustler who knows how to handle people. Like right now, a lot of these investment bankers are looking for psychiatrist type, psychologist types that know how to interact with people, determine whether they got the right people on the right lines. Whereas in the old days, you know, you got your 30 people and you started talking to them and that's what happened. And if you survived, you did very well. You were one of 10%. And if you didn't, you sunk.
We don't have a lot of time, but I would love to carry on this conversation all day. But what do you see over the next couple of years that's going to happen? What should people be thinking about?
Well, I think obviously the gold bugs are out there in full blossom. I like oil. I think we need oil. I think China is going to stay on course against a lot of what other people are threatening right now. So I would say to you that you invest in some, like my oil fields in Alberta, where we're turning gas fields into oil fields, and these things will spit off.
So you're repositioning non-performing assets into something
that and especially in Canada, local, domestic.
Yes.
Everyone needs it. We need energy. So I would say to you, be very, very careful about putting your money into some of the traditional areas that we've looked at, because if there is a minor collapse, and I think everyone thinks there could be a big second bottom here, because it doesn't look like Europe really, they're putting the plasters and the Band-Aids, but I don't think it's going to work. So if you get a collapse there, then I think we've got some real problems. And I mean, serious collapses of the Dow back to some levels where we'll all be rethinking the game. Like McLean's wrote this wonderful thing about what's happened now is all the spenders have done very well, and all those poor people that have saved, they got nowhere, because not only have they not had anything in the inflation rate, but they've also lost all their money because all their hedge funds and mutual funds have lost all their cash. So, you know, how bad is it? Yeah, it's pretty bad when people who are very, you know, the old Victorian order of save, you know, doesn't work. So I think there's a balance that has to be done. I mean, I think you should be careful about real estate here, and nobody seems to push that button.
You think we're a little high, are we?
I think we're a little high up there, yeah. We're really high. I think we're floating in the clouds. Yeah, I would think there's going to be a big bump, but then, you know, don't take my word for it. I mean, you know. But a lot of fun talking to you guys, and anytime you want to, you know, that was the first one on the agenda. I thought we were talking about entrepreneurs. But,
see, we should get you back because
no, Life at Key would be interesting. Life at Key is a wonderful topic of conversation.
What is it?
It's a great place I lived for 12 years in the Bahamas, where E.P. Taylor, very famous Canadian, built. And there they have the old stoic inherited wealth, and then the young Joe Louis type, go get 'em, knock 'em dead type. So you have all the different kind of flavors there. And listening to some of those stories, I think, might regale you with humor and some
and a few insights on how to navigate these current these current
well, that's
times.
another thing. I think talking specifically is a different situation, because I think that's something we could really get into, and maybe you should get a couple of other people on here and challenge some of their ideas, because it's very good when you challenge. I think when you set up the traditional guy, because as they say, it's just cyclical, keep putting your money in, but in which part of the cycle you put your money in and when you got it out means you could be bankrupt.
So I'll invite you in on the debate team that we have in the think tank.
Yeah, that would
if people want to get in touch with you, Adrian, how can we do that?
Well, my telephone number is 647.
Yes.
I've forgotten it again now. It's because I'm here. I'm live. Should I put it out?
And you probably never call yourself, right?
No, I don't think so. 787-2563.
Excellent.
I think so. I think it is.
Okay.
I think maybe it's something else. But anyway, call me up, or my email's amiles@leadenhallforex.com, which is AMILES@LEADENHALLFOREX.com.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Adrian.
Again.
Yeah. Well, that was great.
Okay,
Awesome.
good. Let's take a little break, Hilton, and we'll come back with Irene, I think, right after this. LiquidLunch.channel.com.
Perfect.
we're back on the show here. A couple of tracks are from Light Sweet Crude, and they are coming on the show a little bit later. But right now we've got Irene Torres and Joshua Pich here, and great to have you guys here on the show.
Thanks so much for having us.
Now, yes, you've got the mic, Irene.
I have all the
power. Women, they're so brilliant.
Brilliant, yes.
But when will they take over? We've been waiting for a while. Irene, when?
Well, I don't think we really want that.
I think they already have. My goodness.
You think so?
Absolutely. We just don't know it, and they're smart enough to never admit it.
We do outnumber you guys. That's true.
Yeah.
There are more of us.
They've got all the power, none of the responsibility.
We have book club once a week.
Absolutely.
We suss everything out then.
Yes. It all starts with women.
So you're a first-year student at Ryerson?
I am first year, yes.
But you're taking what, radio and TV, which is
radio and television arts,
yeah, which is different than what you're here today to do, right? This is a musical thing that you're doing here today.
So I was in music for about 7 years, and I love everything about it. I love performing. I love recording, but I hate not knowing what's going on behind the board and with the software. So I kind of got to a point where I just wanted to know a little bit more about everything that the people I was working with were using to work with me, and that's how I ended up at Ryerson for RTA.
So you haven't given up on the music. Is that still your main focus then? You want to do music and do that as a career?
It's actually slightly insane. I'm doing music full-time and school full-time.
Yeah.
So we have residencies, we perform weekly, we have gigs, but then I also have homework and rehearsals, and we sort of balance everything.
Yeah, that's great.
And with school, the potential for you is to be in front of the camera, newscaster, or what are some of the possibilities?
Oh gosh, well right now my first year I'm taking media writing. So I would learn how to write scripts for something just like this, perhaps, and
because we need that. Because
sometimes it's good to have. And I'm taking digital media design, and that's been great because all of my assignments that I'm doing for them are stuff that I need to do for my promo stuff for music. So it's been very helpful actually in the music industry what I'm doing at school.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
Of course, media tech theory, where we learned all about microphones and how sound works. And
how does sound work?
Well, it's molecules moving, right?
Molecules.
Great molecules.
It's all about the molecules and the vibrations.
Yes.
Well, listen, would you like to play a song for us? We'd love to hear something, and then we can come back and talk about all this great stuff.
We're going to play a song for you by a gentleman named John Cleary, straight out of New Orleans. It's called When You Get Back. He loved me fine when I was writing from Hong Kong. He dug it even better, calling long distance on the phone, and cool and sexy, getting a postcard from Brazil. Oh, but now I'm back here, back home. All he wanna give me is a chill. He said, when you get back, we're gonna cha-cha all night long. But he lied, yes. When you get back, we're gonna sing a different song. But he lied. I flew in on the red eye. I put a quarter in the phone, and voice said leave a message, 'cause there ain't nobody home. And I'm here in the hotel and I'm wondering where he's at. You know, the fool giving me the 3rd degree, and that ain't where it's at, no. When you get back, we're gonna cha-cha all night long. But he lied. When you get back, we're gonna sing a different song. But he lied. Oh yeah. When you get back, everything be hoochie-coo. But he lied, oh yes he did. When you get back, baby, I'll take care of you. But he lied, you know that he lied. 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 Oh, oh, you know that he lied. You know that he lied. Oh, well, you know that he lied. Oh, yes, he did. You know that he lied. New York weekend, I had it all planned out. You should have seen him all decked out. I'm here in the hotel and I'm wondering where he's at. You know the fool giving me the third degree, and that ain't where it's at, no, no. When you get back, we gon' ja-ja all night long. But he lied. When you get back, we gon' sing a different song. But he lied, oh yes he did. When you get back, everything be Gucci-goo. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. When you get back, baby, I'll take care of you. Yeah, 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 yeah. When you get back. Thank you.
I certainly want to get back.
Well, you were trying to convince him, you know? Like,
yeah, okay, convincing. Totally.
Thank you.
Now that's somebody else's song,
Yes.
right?
Oh, but I'm so in love with John Cleary. He's amazing.
Okay.
He's wonderful. Straight out of New Orleans.
Yeah.
Actually, I lied. He's from England, but he made New Orleans his home. So
Right. You know,
now he's
people are
adopted.
drawn there, and they, you know, you're feeling it or you're not feeling it.
It's
down
so
there.
beautiful there. I was
Yeah.
just there last New Year's, and I got a chance to really like experience the music scene there, and it was amazing.
It is amazing.
Very, very incredible.
Yeah. It's kind of intimidating, actually.
You know what? I just decided to jump in.
I can't imagine you being intimidated. No.
I brought a chart book with me, and then I just started talking to people, and I talked my way up into a couple of stages. I got to sing actually at Fritzl's, which is one of the first ever live jazz bars in America. So that was pretty cool. And all the musicians there were very, very sweet and so very talented. And if you suck, they would tell you. So it was a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah. Oh, you don't suck. We don't have to worry about that. We're past that.
I got through it.
Yeah. Good.
Now, so is it always the two of you that play, or when you play around, do you play with another group? Or?
Constantly. We play together all the time.
We do.
Yeah.
You might be sick of me.
No, but do you ever have like a full band?
Yes, absolutely. So on Sundays, Josh and I play together. We do a duo acoustic soul thing at Axis Gastro Pub by Bloor Markham. And then on Tuesdays, we play with our full live ensemble. We're called Irene Torres and the Sugar Devils. And we play music straight up from New Orleans. And we do an arrangement of funk, jazz, Motown, R&B, soul. And we have a percussionist, a saxophone player, a trumpet player, a bassist, a keyboard player, a drummer, and a guitarist. Did I leave anybody out?
Did you say drums?
I said drums.
Drums? Yeah, I think
drums?
that's it.
Yes,
I think
that's it.
We got a tuba player or something? No, I'm just
Sometimes.
And what's with the you mentioned New Orleans. Is it all New Orleans inspired, or?
Well, the nice thing about New Orleans and Louisiana in general is they have such a distinct interpretation of so many different styles of music. So all over the world, you know, they have funk and they have soul and R&B, and it's a lot of fun, and there's lots of tunes that you could pull from. But we were brought together by our love, I guess, of NOLA, and their particular take on those genres. It's a very distinct sound. I don't speak musicianese, but I could sing it for you, or I could just invite you to come out on a Tuesday and then we could show you. But it varies, right? So in the beginning of the night, we'd like to play a lot of traditional jazz stuff because we have a lot of dancers come out, so they do some swing and bebop, and then afterwards we do some funk and some Motown and some R&B.
Sounds like terrific fun.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we have a great time. So
Yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time.
And do you ever write your own songs?
yes, yeah. Actually, we'd love to play an original for you.
That would be great.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. It's called Before You Go, and it's coming up on our EP. If you up and go, I'll still sing this song. Keep it in my coat as I move along. And everyone I meet, I'll be sure to tell about that no good man that I done love so well. So tell me all your woes. I'll help you let them go. Yeah, tell me all your woes. I'll help you let them go. Home every night at the break of dawn. I lost your hat and watch and all our money's gone. But there is something new creeping on your hide. It's the smell of heat and passion that you're trying to hide. So tell me all your woes. I'll help you let them go. Da-da-da. Tell me all your woes. I'll help you let them go. I watch the world, it spins right on my fingers, and I let it slow right down, then flick it round again. Time to face the music, black and all the stars. You can take all that I gave you, but give me back my heart. Tell me all your woes. I'll help you let them go. Yeah, yeah. Tell me all your woes. You know I will help you let them go. Oh, come on and tell me all your woes. I will help you let them go. Yeah, yeah. Bye, 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 bye. Sa da 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 da. Bye, bye, bye. Ba da ba ba bye. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Often, but
yeah. Well, glad we could bring that out of you today.
I'm tempted to say golly.
Let's not go there.
So what's next for you guys? I mean, you're still at school, only first year at Ryerson, right?
For the next 4 years, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Okay, and this is going to really prepare you for your musical career, which already sounds like it's going pretty good.
Happening, I hope. Yeah, we're steady. We're going pretty steady, I'd say.
We've been going steady for a while. Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be an interesting adventure of as I advance in the academic career, how I balance the musical career. But I'm excited. I like to do a lot at the same time. So we're multitaskers, us ladies. So you know.
That's what I hear. And did you mention you're working on a CD?
Yes, we've actually been recording live from the Silver Dollar every Tuesday. So we have a whole collection of material right now, and Josh and I are recording a more intimate acoustic duo EP with about maybe 5-8 songs on it.
And when can people expect that these will be ready?
I would say Valentine's Day.
Yeah?
I'm aiming for Valentine's Day. That'd be lovely.
And Tuesdays at the Silver Dollar from what time?
From 8 to 12. Live music starts at 9, and we're there till about 12:30. Sometimes we push it to 12:30.
Are you the only act, or what?
Yeah, we do invite a lot of guests. So, for example, tonight we have Drew Jureka from Jeff Healey's Jazz Wizards, fantastic violin player. And through September, we had a number of Juno guests out. We had Christopher Plock, amazing saxophone player, and we had the Happy Pals brass band section. They're a New Orleans brass band group, and
we were supposed to have Paul Riddick.
Paul Riddick was going to join us. He was really sick.
Look forward to that.
Yeah.
Great harp player.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll bring more guests, though.
So that's great. So people can go check you guys out tonight. And Now, if people want to get and stay in touch with you on the web, where's the best place?
Well, you could find us on Facebook. We have a Facebook band page, Irene Torres and the Sugar Devils. You could give us a shout at 647-887-6590. Or you could look us up on MySpace. You could check out my MySpace. It's myspace.com/iTorresMusic. And it's Torres like the last name, not Torres like the bull.
Right, Torres.
Yes,
right?
That's right.
Well, that's great, guys. Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks so much for having us. Hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to hear you even more.
Oh, thanks.
Well, we're actually going to go out with a track. Which track are we going out with?
Well, we're going out with Milagro, I believe, and that is off the Sol Azul album. Milagro, it means miracle in Spanish. And the album is called Calor, and this is a track that has also been remixed by DJ Marcus.
Okay, great. All right, guys, thanks for coming in.
Thanks. Thank you.
So we're going to hear the track, and then we're going to come back with, is it Sweet Light Crude or Light Sweet Crude? Light Sweet Crude. That's what I thought. Okay, so we'll be back right after this. Channel.com.
Keep shining.
Thanks. Sé que la noche no ha dejado con recuerdos de jazmín. La, 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 y desde que te encontré, la sombra ya no me toca porque ya me acostumbré a tu cara de memoria ya. Amor, arena, el mar y tú, mis lindas costas de Perú. La ola que quiebra me llaman a ti, Ay, que tu boca sabe de besos dulces con tus ojos verdes que me dicen que mejor amor no encuentro otro, no. Mi amor, el mar azul. Just stay with me. Send them my long regards and sympathies. We're MIA and plan to stay that way. A home without a name. Yes, I will go anywhere you are. If you're lost, I will always find you. Kisses taste like cinnamon. You're made for me, but it won't define you, no. Today's the day we paid our dues. Let's run away, lie in the blue. Oh yeah. But still it's true, besos pa' mi familia, a mis primos y mis primas, a mis amigos de mi quinta. Oh, ain't no way you can hold me down, no. I'm gonna go back there someday, I can't escape the sound of you. I'm with you still, I'll see it through. I give my heart over to you, my ground, my roots, my shelter. Besos pa' mi familia. Ay, te quiero, mi abuelita, y mis primos y mis primas. Oh, ain't no way you can hold me down, no. I'm gonna go back there someday, Can't escape the sound of you. I'm with you still, I'll see it through. I give my heart over to you, my ground, my roots, my shelter.
Okay, we're back here on Liquid Lunch, and well, that was Irene Torres and the Sugar Doubles, and we're here now with two members of Light Sweet Crude, Jason Steidman and Alexei Oreshin. Here, guys. Great to have you here.
Great to be here.
Even though I was kind of thinking maybe we were going to get you guys to play live, which would have been awesome, but it would have been a lot of work for us here at the station, setting it all up, and we got a busy show. Anyway, it's great to have you guys here. And it's kind of funny because Alexei, we played together before.
Yeah.
And
we've had some musical moments.
And right here in this very room, as a matter of fact. And I know you're an awesome guitar player. So
he is.
I'm sorry I lost him to you, Jason. What did you do? Actually, I know it wasn't what you did. It was what I didn't do. But he probably went to play.
So it's not me. It's you. Okay.
Yes, that's right. So, what's the story of Light Sweet Crude? We've been playing them all show up until Irene Torres, but what's the story of the group?
Yeah, well, actually, the story will kind of explain how I was lucky to acquire Alexei here. It started off as a studio project. I mean, I could go back to the very beginning of how the studio project came together, but that might be boring. But anyway, yeah, I studied North Indian classical music for a while. I put together a studio project. I worked with a great guitar player named Reza Bassi, based out of New York, while I was engineering a different album. And I was able to convince him to help me out on this project and play on a couple of tunes. And Alexei is a big fan of Reza's, if I can say that. And so I put together a live version. It was short-lived. I was looking for a new guitarist, and I you know, God bless Craigslist. You know, Craigslist has brought a lot of musical minds together, possibly. And so Alexei heard the Reza Bassi tracks, and he seemed to really dig them. And I guess that's the story. Yeah. And so since then we've been continuing playing live, and there's a CD going to be released this Thursday. But maybe
it's just out. Oh, see, because we had a copy already. So
well, you got an advance copy. You know, you're
wow.
VIP, right?
That's awesome. Now, so let's just. Are you two would you say you're the core, or because you got other people in the group? Maybe they just all couldn't make it here today. But.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm the project founder, but live, I would say Alexei is the firepower in the band, unquestionably.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we are sort of a quartet, quintet, so everyone contributes.
Of course.
I have a guitar. Yeah. Okay. So who else is in the group?
So just a question for you, Alexei. When you're live into the commentary, you're the firepower in that, and I sort of grimace a little. It's cute, and what's going on there for you here? Because
it's a little bit cute in the sense that I mean I don't. It's a collective, right? So I don't ever try to step in front of anyone's toes or over anybody's toes. So I just have to play a lot of notes sometimes. So I think that's the firepower, but it's not much of a firepower.
One thing I'd like to just offer you, I think there's in Nelson Mandela's inaugural speech, there's a couple of lines that say it is not our darkness that most frightens us. It is our light and our sort of our greatness that most frightens us. And then there's another line, that it is not. I'm not saying it correctly, but it is not, wonderful to sort of hide in the shadows. Yeah. It's when we let our light shine that we give other people permission to shine so brilliantly. And it seems you do that so humbly that your entire group gets to shine so beautifully.
Well, I hope so, yeah. Jason?
So just a little bit more.
That's a pretty big statement. Nelson Mandela is that's an iconic figure. I'm just a guitar player.
Yeah, no, I mean he is being modest for sure, but at the same time I think he's also correcting me because I don't want to at all underestimate the contributions of anybody else in the band. It is. Yeah, especially because it's very improvisation oriented. There's a lot of collective conversation, musical communication going on. So yeah, it is hard to say that one person is the firepower. But traditionally we look to certain instruments in the rock jazz world as being focal point.
What is the most important instrument in the band?
We're being so bad, Hugh. You're being worse.
I know.
Isn't it great?
The singer. The singer.
Yeah, the singer. But you guys don't have a singer.
Well, exactly. Exactly. The fact that there isn't one is the most important.
So let's just kind of go through we're going to play a track, and in fact the rest of the music of the show is going to be you guys. But you've got, I understand, Ram Bakalanka playing sitar.
Yeah. He's a special guest. He comes when he can. When he does, absolutely takes it up a huge notch.
And we know Ram. He's been in here before playing sitar right here on Liquid Lunch.
Yeah, he really wanted to come today. He's just feeling under the weather. So.
Oh, yeah. And who else is in the group, and what do they play?
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for asking. There's an amazing bass player, Michael Kaler, who's been with the live band since the very, very beginning. He's I don't know if he'll like me mentioning this, but he used to play with Ron Hawkins, Rusty Nails, and a lot of other rock bands. He's been doing it for a long time. He's a veteran of the Toronto alternative music scene, kind of. And very into jazz, also very active in the improvised music scene. Works at Somewhere There. Have you heard of Somewhere There?
No.
Yeah, no, it really is a genuinely underground jazz. It's like the only underground jazz venue in the city. It's a very, very amazing place.
Where is it? Yeah.
Where is it? It moved. It used to be right at like Queen and Dufferin, but now it's in the Sterling Loft area, kind of between Lansdowne and Dundas on Bloor.
Yeah.
You sort of have to go into that sort of development area, and it's it's a unit in there.
Is it in the, okay.
Somewherethere.org.
Sterling. Is it Sterling? Somewherethere.org.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you guys played there?
Yeah, well, another guy in the band, Mark Seger, great drummer. They're both very much connected to Somewhere There, and somehow we were able to get a residency there in March and April of this year, and that really brought our improvisation moments together. We really focused on that, and every Sunday for 5 to 7 we would go there and play, and the audience size varied.
Regardless, there's a lot of wonderful music there on a daily, nightly basis. So, yeah.
Okay, have we gone through everybody in the band yet?
Yeah, Ram, Alexi, Michael, and Mark. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Great. Now, how does that work with this record that's coming out? You talk about improvisation, and yet here are some songs that they're done, right? They're arranged, they're recorded. How did that come about in that form?
Well, okay, yeah, that's a fair question. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times there was evolution from when the recording began to when it was finished, but all the improvisation really was improvisation. It could have been improvisation with MIDI tracks or guide tracks. The most rockin' track on the album is "I Hear Now," where the Light Sweet Crew, I call it Live Sweet Crew also, it's a Freudian slip, played together live. It was the only track where it was actually cut live off the floor. But it's still, it still is improvisation, and it can be still very intriguing even when it's one person playing with MIDI tracks, which is how it kind of started with Rez, and the Farid Haq tracks work the same way. And then just subsequent musicians take that into account, and it does have a cohesive thing happening there. But fair enough, it is true that there is sort of stigma against overdubbed improvisation kind of thing. But,
well, that reminds me of what was the process? Did you multi-track it, or did you do a lot of live? Was it live off the floor for the most part?
Well, yeah, like I said, the one track, and this is for sure why it's the most rockin' track. It was also the only one that was sort of aimed at being specifically like aggressively rockin', again, to use that word, was "I Hear Now." I think he played it 2 songs ago, that was live off the floor. Everything else was constructed in a way to elicit improvisation from people, but it was overdubbed. But again, I've been working with musicians in the recording studio for a long time. I have a pretty good idea what makes them tick, what makes them rise to the occasion. A lot of it isn't that much of a secret. Early performances are always have something special, and a lot of the solos that the session guys cut that were not done live with other people we're often very early, let's just roll through the song. There's a whole bunch of mistakes along the way, but then the solo just explodes.
Yeah.
And so we keep that, go back and fix other stuff after.
Because I've heard there's kind of two approaches to recording, and one is you go in, you get it live, you get it early, so everybody's fresh and the excitement is there, and then the other philosophy is you keep doing it until you got it perfect.
I'd say there's both at work on this CD for sure. Yeah,
that's cool. Okay, so it's being released when?
This Thursday, both live at the Smiling Buddha on College and on the internet at lightsweetcrude.bandcamp.com.
And
get that in there.
Yeah, for sure. And what's going to happen at the event?
Well, we're
at Smiling Buddha, you said, from what time?
Oh, the Smiling Buddha at the doors open at 9. A great band called the Starfires goes on at 9:30. We'll be on at 11. And what's going to happen? I don't know. I mean, I think the intention is to, raga rock everybody's galaxy. But that's just my take on it. What would you say is going to happen?
I would agree. There's going to be some good music. There's going to be Starfires, us, and then there's going to be a couple of guys from U of T that I know. So it's going to be a fun night.
I've not heard the expression raga rock, and it sounds like totally cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And the CDs will be available, I take it?
Yeah, they'll be available at the performance, as well as online. We're working to get the Bandcamp thing also selling physical CDs, but for sure you can do the standard downloading thing, and we'll figure it out.
Then what's the plan after that? Because how do you make it in the music industry these days?
What a good question. I don't know.
What music industry?
That's right. Occupied music industry. Yeah.
You love doing music, and that part's great. And so, then it's really like making it. What does that look like, or do you have agendas or views, or?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I think what we're really hoping to do. Well, obviously, there's another CD somewhere on the horizon. That's not an immediate priority, but to push this as far as possible and to get better live performance things happening. Like we're hoping to. We've done some festivals in the past, and those were awesome. And I think those were like the best shows we've played on certain levels, and we're hoping to just take that up a notch, like more, maybe possibly some U.S. Festival appearances, more happening Canadian festival appearances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have any other musical projects?
I work as a recording engineer, so I do work on other people's stuff, but personally, I don't have anything. Yeah, really. I know Lexi does, though. I'd love for you to ask him about that.
Well, aside from Light Sweet Crude, which is a extremely remarkable band to be in, because the way that I see it for the future, to continue with that question, is to further progress just the live scene. It's the expansion of our live shows, because there's the record, but then there's also the live show, and the improvisational aspect really shines in the live setting. So,
and there's a resonance also with live music that just is not captured in yes, no, or
maybe on a live CD if we decide to release it.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I hate to keep harping on this one track, but the track that used the live band Here Now, that has that's probably the closest thing to a lot, because it was live off the floor, as we were saying before.
But I mean, when you go in to record, you're still going to have, I mean, how you play live is essentially going to reflect how you play in the studio.
Yeah.
So I play a lot of improvisatory music, so there's things that I do have to read exactly, like word by word.
Yeah.
But then when it comes time to really talk with your instrument, then, I mean, that's when you really let your voice be heard. Yeah. So, I don't know.
Great. Okay.
Do you prefer performing live versus recording and getting the music?
That's, that question, there's no definitive answer there, because it is like two different worlds, right?
Yeah.
It's completely there's no one there. It's just you with a lot of equipment and a goal.
Yeah.
But when you step on the stage, really you're just trying to unify as a whole, I don't know, and perform for a lot of people. Hopefully, a lot of people that are there. There's an energy factor and a mindset factor. So
and a chemistry with the people in the band. Yeah, it's like two totally different art forms.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I don't know, what can I compare it to? Maybe cooking at home and eating out. Yeah, something like that.
I like your simplicity.
Yeah. Well,
that's great.
I think it works.
So cooking at home and cooking on a cooking show or something.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys. Well, listen, great to have you in. Congratulations on the record. And,
thanks for having us.
And have a great opening Thursday night at the Smiling Buddha.
That's
Thanks,
right.
guys. Thanks.
And they got a track. I don't know, for some reason they picked a song, probably based on what we're talking about. But so we're going to hear this track from Light Sweet Crude. And great to see you again, Alexi, and great to meet you, Jason. And all the best.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
and
guys.
we're going to come back with Cheryl Schofield right after this as Liquid Lunch hits the home stretch on a Tuesday. We'll be right back.
Again, we're Light Sweet Crude.
Thanks so much for checking us out. Enjoy Elizabeth Shepherd. She's up now. Ciao.
All right, welcome back to Liquid Lunch. So there's some light sweets, crude, and we got Cheryl Schofield back on the show. Cheryl, great to see you again.
Thanks, you, for inviting me. It's nice to meet you, Hilton.
Hello, Cheryl.
Yeah.
Look at that. So now you've got a new business that you're launching.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, last time I was here, I mentioned it to you. It's called growthpositioningsystem.com. Yeah.
Growthpositioningsystem.com. And what is it?
It's a GPS for your business. It's going to help you to get in front of more clients, which is basically where I've always been coming from. I'm a follow-up specialist. So, you know, a lot of people are collecting a lot of business cards, and not a lot of people are following up to, you know, gather up all the opportunities that are available. So that's what I'm doing.
Okay, well, we're covering so much material already. Growth positioning, what?
System.
System.com.
Yeah.
Right? So, and a GPS for your business. So that sounds like it's you really distilled the essence of this business down to that one tagline. GPS for your business.
How does it work?
As I mentioned, there's a lot of people who are going out collecting business cards, and that is the prospecting. And what I've come from a sales background, so when I looked at, like, what are people telling you? What are they having a problem with? And it's mostly whether you're a professional sales rep, where my background is, or whether you're a new entrepreneur starting, it's all about that prospecting out in the front of the funnel. So we're all, trying to become visible. We're all trying to pull people to us. And so that's the main part of what I do. But the other part is, how do you apply all these techniques? You're downloading all this information, tip for this, tactic for that. How do you apply it? So the strategy, the underlying marketing and sales funnel is very, very important. So I deal with that as well.
Do you do that on a systems basis through your, so it becomes a check mark, and or can you describe a little bit more of your service, or is it actually a product?
It's based on a 10-step follow-up system, which is what I developed last year. So it's basically, you've been in the room, you've met these people, now what are you going to do? A little bit of market research about what you do, what are your strengths, what's your passion that you're bringing to the market, and what does the market want? How do they react to what you say? Does it resonate with them? Do you need to tweak it a bit? I just actually wrote a book over the summer about that, those first two steps, and about the strategy, the underlying strategy. Yeah.
So when somebody a client of yours would be a business or an entrepreneur that wants to really get their sales happening, essentially.
Yeah,
is that
there's
right?
a lot of sales reps,
a
lot of financial planners have been coming because they have the big platform, but you go into a room, you say you're a financial planner, oh, I know what that is. So you know what I mean? You got to have a little bit. It's all about leveraging your expertise, because everyone's unique, everyone's got a passion. It's leveraging that to build the know you, like you, and trust you factor, so that you can skyrocket your sales. You want to turn leads into sales.
So what does that process look like when that client comes to you, that sales rep or that financial advisor comes to you? What process do they go through?
Well, a lot of times, I do have to set the stage for follow-up, which is, you can come and hear all about the general of what we've just discussed. When I sit down one-on-one, it's mostly is, when you say what you say, how do people respond? A lot of people are meeting people afterwards and going for coffee meetings to share with you, and you find that you're repeating the same information over and over, and I help you to move from that offline one-on-one conversation and maximize that by getting it into an online one-to-many. So you can send an email. Hugh, a lot of people ask me that. I've developed actually a small article. Could I send it to you? Would you be okay with that? Can I, give me your business card and I'll send you that. A lot of people find it really, really helpful. Would that be of interest to you?
Yeah, yes, it would.
And that's what I train my people to do. When you hear that common question, you say, that's funny that you should ask that. A lot of people ask me that same question. I've got an article. Would you like me to send it to you? I get your business card. We now have opt-in. You're waiting to hear my information. So instead of getting lost in voicemail and trying to book a meeting, everybody's busy, I start the conversation and I send you the information, and you're actually waiting to receive it.
That's assuming that one has the article, or
That's what I help you to do.
Oh,
that's
so even articles on demand.
Well, what I help you to do is to get that, to leverage your intellectual property, your expertise.
Oh, good. Okay, yes.
And get it into a written format, because as long as it's in your head, right, you'll always be in a one-to-one world.
What about video, though? Because
It's perfect.
people hate reading nowadays.
Yeah, perfect. I do video as well. That's thing you should ask me that, because that's one of the reasons why I'm here, because video is awesome.
Yeah.
Video is an awesome channel to deliver your message.
I mean, we can talk about, you know, the death of print and what that means for our culture and all that sort of stuff, but what we're seeing is the rise of video.
Yeah.
It's a way for people to speak to people one-on-one, but they don't have to be in the same room, and they don't have to keep repeating themselves. As you say, they can say it once, have it there, and they can be speaking to people, many people, from this moment forward.
Which is why I develop cross-promotional partners to help me to deliver that.
Okay. Would one of the cross-promotional partners be someone like Salesforce or?
Yes, it could be. A lot of my clients, either if they're corporate, they have a system, and it may be Salesforce.
Yes.
A lot of the entrepreneurs, that's just a little bit too much of a jump. They're not quite ready for that. That can add up pretty quickly on a monthly basis.
Yes.
So I usually start them with a smaller program. Last time I was in here, we were discussing ACT. It's like a $200 program. Or you can start with simple Excel spreadsheet. That works too.
Yeah. What's better?
Depends on where you're at, and that's you know, that's something, you know, you probably have that already. Excel, you probably already have it on your.
Everybody's got Excel.
Yeah,
already.
exactly. It's pretty common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so you've got this new concept, growth position system.
Yeah.
Right. And have you had the chance of? Have you implemented it yet with any clients?
Yeah. So I ran the pilot program last year. It's been very successful because there's a lot of people who are running around doing the sales. And for example, one of the professional sales reps that I work with, he does SR&D, shred. So he goes into companies and helps you to apply for the government grants. So it's a fairly long sales process. It's, you may not know today, but you may figure out later. And really all it is me educating you. So when I met with him, he said, you know, I've got the referral partners, I'm down with that. You know, I've got like 10, 15 people. But how many times can you go around to lunch? I mean, I'm getting pretty fat over here eating all this lunch, meeting with people, and how often can they meet with me? So I just said, well, what do people really want from you? Insight. Just do that. You read articles all the time and you think something. How does that relate to my business? How can I help my clients? These are things that reps are thinking all the time. How can I, wow. When I read that, I think about so-and-so, distill that insight into a written text, send it out. So we did that for him. And his phone started ringing off the wall because that's the information that his client is looking for. So it helped him to stay in front of his client, which is what this is all about, right?
When you, well, you're kind of on the cutting edge of the whole sales thing because you're designing these new systems that are taking everything that you know here and now and applying it to how people can do sales better, essentially, how they can follow through better. When you kind of step back from where we are today, where do you think we're headed in terms of sales processes as the economy or the world moves forward?
Well, the thing is, I was just reading in the Harvard Business Review, and they were saying that it's all going to be about specialization. It's all coming to, you want to be an inch wide and a mile deep. So I'm that type of person. I'm a deep dive. If I get very interested in something, I want to know all about it, everything there is and everything that interconnects with it. So we used to work in companies together. So the tech would be down the hall, the accountant was next door. But now we're getting fragmented out, so we have to find some way to bring people together again. So that's really what I've been looking for, is what is a system that we can bring people together to teach them what to do, how does a business run, and then what partners can I use to bring everybody together again into a sales and marketing funnel. So that's basically what I've been doing. I've built the foundational and been looking for partners such as yourself that can offer the services that I know my clients are going to need. Because I know I can drive traffic. That's what I do. I'm a prospector, right? I'm a promoter.
That's really interesting because I think we're moving to an economy where everybody is kind of
self-employed.
Self-employed.
And a collaboration economy.
Absolutely, and collaboration, exactly.
Yes.
So that's what I was thinking. How can I get all these things that I see and bring them into something that we can all benefit from? Because we're all going to be on our own. We all know people who've had to start their own business and they don't know what to do. Right?
So for somebody that's in that position right now, and you know, maybe it wasn't exactly their choice, i.e. they got laid off, and now they are seeing that their best move is to become self-employed or to become an entrepreneur of some sort. But of course, they can't do everything.
No.
Right? They are, you know, people are good at some things, they're not so good at others.
Yeah.
How are they going to benefit from coming to see you, for example?
Yeah. So basically the process that I went through and a lot of people go through is, this is how much I can do. What do I say in the marketplace that people really resonate to? Okay, they really like this. Do I want to do that? They really like this part. Do I want to do that? Don't really want to do that. Really want to do that. Yeah, that's a good thing. Okay, let's focus on that. And just drilling down and drilling down and drilling down. It's a process of elimination. What are you passionate about? What are you not passionate about? Is there a market for it? Can we make money? You know, and it's just focusing down and packaging it up. You know, let's get you a logo. What's the tagline look like? How does that look like? How do they come into your business? You know, that it's all.
But you do that within the context of how is this going to, you tie it to reality in the sense that how is this going to drive sales? What do people want to buy? Right?
What do people want to buy?
Yeah.
Because when we come from corporate, we're used to being told what to do. Somebody already gave us the vision, and we're very wide. And we need to become smaller and smaller and more specialized because you have strengths. Yeah. And that's what we really want to find. And there's lots of, you know, there's lots of courses out there. It's just that I don't think there's that final. Right. We need to package that up and really hone in on it. It does take a long time. It takes, you know, if you're out there on your own, it could take you a couple of years to go through that process.
So right now, who would be the ideal people that should think about getting in touch with you and using your process?
Well, as I mentioned, the financial planners have been coming because they've been taught how to be a financial planner, and they're told, hey, go network. And now I've done that. You know, after networking, now what? So that's really, they're ready. They have the product. They've got the big name behind them. They have the major marketing library, but they just don't have that uniqueness. Why am I unique, and how can I transfer that? So that they're really an ideal client because they're ready. My shred guy, he's been in his business for a while. He's like an agency business. He makes a little bit off everybody who passes through him. So every deal. So that he's great too. And then a lot of the entrepreneurs, like anybody who's a coach or a massage therapist, you know, they have been trained in a specific skill, and it's really about visibility. It's about driving prospects and getting the word out. So those are people. Those are the main people.
That's awesome. Okay.
And how do you charge for your services?
Well, currently I have courses that I'm running. I have one tomorrow night here at the ING Orange, down on the corner of Shooter and Yonge Street. It's $89. It's set the stage. It's 3 hours, packed with information.
Awesome.
Packed. And then I have another one in Oakville, November the 28th, I believe. It's on my website. And then in the January, February, I'm going to be launching Kickstart Your Company, which is going to be the extended version of Set the Stage for Follow-Up.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So
and that'll be a 3-month program, or?
Yeah, probably about 90 days.
Yes.
Yep. And it'll come all with the mentoring and the coaching and everything else that you need, because you got, you know, it's a headspace thing, it's a mindset, as well as marketing and as well as a follow-up system. So there'll be, you know, several people that are coming together.
Yes.
That's great. Kickstart Your Company. And the book that you wrote, what's it called?
You've worked the room, now what?
And is it available now?
Yeah, it's not quite, no. It's still in the rough format, but I'll definitely going to be doing a series of seminars coming up in November and December. And those will all be launching off growthpositioningsystem.com. So you can go there, sign up for the free report, and that'll get you on the list.
growthpositioningsystem.com.
Yes.
Is that the only website you'll want to give out today? Or?
A lot of the training is still on the older platform, which is executivesalessupport.com.
Okay. All right, Cheryl. Anything else you want to let us know about that we forgot to ask you about?
No, I don't think so.
Well, we are looking forward to tomorrow night. People can actually go and participate for $89 over at the ING, just around the corner from here.
That's right, and they can find out about that on executivesalessupport.com.
Super.
Awesome.
And check out growthpositioningsystem.com. Right,
That's
Cheryl?
Right. Awesome.
Okay, this is great. Thank you for coming in again today.
Thank you so much. It's nice to meet you, Hilton.
Yeah, you too, Cheryl. Looking forward to learning more.
Thank you.
Oh, do we have a video, Cheryl? I don't know.
I do have a video on my website.
Do you want to?
You can do the one that's right there. It was recorded at the last ING event that I did in August.
Oh, this is good.
It's on the front page of growthpositioningsystem.com.
So give us a thumbs up when that's ready to go. And so this will be a little bit of a taste of what people can expect sort of tomorrow, right?
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, well, while they're doing that.
You got the thumbs up?
Oh, there we go. So before we play that, guys, let's just say bye. And just say, or I want to say thanks, Hilton, for doing this again today.
Thank you.
And,
always learn, and it's fun, and just always better than I expect.
Really?
Yeah. Yes, it's interesting.
I'm always glad when it's over. Just because it's so stressful, Cheryl.
I know.
Not because I'm not having a good time.
No, it is.
But
I know
it's just nice to say that's
it's a wrap.
Fabulous liquid lunch. It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
So thanks, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow at noon for more liquid lunch. But stay tuned, because Wendy Ladd is in the house coming up in 10 minutes or so right here on thatchannel.com. And now we're going to see this groovy video by Cheryl. And we'll see y'all tomorrow at noon right here at thatchannel.com.
Awesome. Thanks, you.
My name is Cheryl Schofield, and I'm a follow-up specialist. I just attended the 9th annual Summer Networking Bash last night, and I collected a stack of business cards. If you attended this event, I hope you had a chance to check out the Twitter bar and have your photo taken at the photo booth. There was a ton of energy in the room. Today, I'm busy following up with everyone I met last night. Did you know 48% of people who attended the event will never follow up with the people that they met? Well, that's a shame, because going to a networking event is an investment of your money and time taken away from your business. The truth is, no one will ever buy from you if they never hear from you. Tonight, I'm here at the ING Network Orange in Toronto, and I'm teaching business owners a follow-up business system that they can use to follow up to the 5th to 12th contact, where 80% of sales are made. If you would like to grow your business, contact me, Cheryl, at growthpositioningsystem.com.